I'm Kamala Harris, and I don't approve of this message. In fact, I kind of hate it.
When Joe and I opened the border, flooding America with tens of millions of illegal aliens, we thought voters would think we were kind and generous.
You serious?
But it turns out Trump was right. They're not sending their best.
They're not sending their best.
Turns out that they are, in fact, bringing drugs, bringing crime, bringing their rapists, and apparently they're eating the cats.
Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
But when I'm president, things will be different. I'm like an abusive boyfriend who promises to stop beating up his girlfriend if she agrees to marry him. If you elect me president, I promise to stop destroying the country. I know I've been bad, but trust me, baby, I can change. My plan to stop illegal immigration is simple. I'm going to fly all the homeless people from every third world country on the planet into our country. Every lunatic from every asylum, every murderer, rapist, and violent criminal. About 712 million people. Once all 712 million are here in the U.S., problem solved. You can't illegally immigrate if you're already here. Even Republicans have to admit that's good logic. This election is about looking forward. America is like the Titanic, and I think it's about time we had a woman manning the wheel.
We are not going back. Okay, then. Live from Times Square, it's That Kevin Show.
Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Nostradamus.
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be That Donald show. We don't have that, so we have That Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. Just ahead, the latest from Decision 24, Ashley Hayek and Christine Serrano Glassner. He's not your average Joe, Coach Joe Kennedy. Simon Desk Weekend, the 60-minute edit edition. Sketch comedy from Mr. Reagan and the Babylon Bee. And she has the Apple Music #1 song in the country, Megan Woods, in the spotlight. And now, from Times Square, the perfect good luck charm for New York City to score a Subway series. We mean Subway sandwich. Here's the...
What does that even mean? Subway sandwich. Oh, you mean like the chain. Gotcha. They still eat that stuff? No, I was kind of a big fan of the Subway, and then the lovely bride didn't like me going there anymore, so we had to cut that out. Anyway, hey, welcome. Oh, yeah, I've got my baseball cap on. We're in New York. It's possibly a Subway series time. Anyway, better than Yankees or Mets, get your That Kevin Show hat, That Kevin store. Very, very sharp. Goes with my tie and hanky and all the rest. Anyway, welcome to the weekend. Glad you're here. We got a lot to get to. We're just, a little more than 20 days away now. And I know that this presidential election has seemed like it's taken 4,289 million years, but it's almost over. And on November 5th, we're going to get to a point where I think we're going to have a winner. Mark it down. And then when we do, we're gonna have probably then a lot of discussions about things with family and friends, and oh yeah, that's not going to work out well. Okay, well, hopefully the acrimony will be somewhat lessened if we can just get it done. And friends, there's no one more tired of running this race than I am, but I am looking forward to coming down the stretch here, and I kind of understand what's going on with the dynamics of this race. You want to know the straight scoop about what's going on with the race. You want to really comprehend what it is. Okay, I'm going to tell you the secret. I wrote about it in townhall.com the last 2 weeks, but shh, don't tell anybody. Trump is winning. He's on his way to a win. He's winning now. And they just keep messing it up. Kamala doesn't know what she wants to be, doesn't know who she is, doesn't know what her policies are. Her own vice president, she leaves him strangled for words to try to come up with something when a football player sits down to interview him. Take a look.
74% of voters said the past year they've had to cut back on groceries because of the rising costs, of course. And a lot of those voters, they're concerned that they cast their vote for Kamala Harris, but she's responsible for that. Yeah. So how do you reach those voters? What do you say to those voters who may blame her for the economy right now?
Yeah, folks in the middle. Well, we talk to them about what are the policies that are going to make a difference. And we see some of the data, but data doesn't impact people in their daily lives. Go into the grocery store and you see false information, whether it's bird flu impacting eggs. But the reality for most people is if those costs are up, they want to know what you're going to do about it. I think that's why she's focusing on making sure whether it's home ownership more affordable, tax cuts for the middle class, and let's just be candid about this. There's price gouging piece of this.
Now, if you'll notice, he didn't answer the issue about higher grocery prices. Somehow he was asked a very clear question. How are you going to reach the voters whose grocery prices have gone up because they can't afford groceries anymore and they're having to forego getting some groceries each month? And he talks about home buying. This is the problem. This is the fundamental problem with Kamala and Walz. They don't know how to talk about anything because they don't have a plan and they're not telling you what their plan is. They're just going to give you more money. They're going to say, well, we're just going to print it. We're going to give it to you from the Treasury. If you buy a house, if you do this, if you do that. But that's only going to go so far. And that's not going to do well for the economy. Instead of saying, let's rediscover energy in America. Let's give tax cuts back to small business owners so that they can hire more people. Let's do the things that would watch the economy become white hot the way it was in the Trump administration previous to the COVID breakout. The COVID breakout ruined everything for everybody, everywhere. But prior to the COVID breakout, we had the hottest, fastest growing economy. Jobs were being added like you couldn't believe. Manufacturing jobs were being added like you couldn't believe. And people weren't having trouble buying their groceries. That was not happening on Trump's watch. And in this same interview, Coach Walz then tries to pivot and go, well, if Trump had done a better job, then Kamala wouldn't have had a mess. And Strahan had to say, he said, look, I may be a football player, but I can tell you for sure that is not what happened. At the end of the day, these two have no clue what they're doing. They have no clue what to offer in terms of a plan. And the best that their team, if you think of political parties as football teams, the best they've come up with is to take the two octogenarians that are on the bench and say, okay, guys, you did it once before. Let's throw Bill Clinton and Barack Obama in there and you go get them. At this point, I'm openly speculating that the Democrats would probably have had a better chance of winning this election if they had left Biden on the ticket. Because I don't think the second debate, he would have been as bad as he was in the first debate. But aside from the fixed debate that she had with the anchors kind of on her side, aside from that, she's been a disaster. And all you have to do is see how the polls are now starting to kind of lean back towards Trump, and not just in the popular vote, which he's in danger of winning. How crazy would that be? I mean, it's not so crazy because the Republicans have more registered voters in the country now than the Democrats do. They just passed them this year. You know why they passed them? Because you had a Democratic administration that was ruining everything. But not only do they have more registered voters, they also have the right position on the issues. And you're going to see people win congressional races. You're going to see people win Senate races. You're going to see Trump maybe put into contention cities like Detroit and Philadelphia. He announced this week he's going to do a rally in the heart of New York City at Madison Square Garden. They would never have spent the money on those resources to bring him to New York City and take time off the campaign trail if it wasn't in play. And here's the strategy, guys. And let me just be bare knuckled honest about this. He's competitive in these cities because African Americans and Latinos and women and people that don't traditionally vote for Republicans like the fact that he's done it once before and he can do it again. That's what they like. And he's drawing people to his side. He's got Democrats on his team, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. He's got independents like Elon Musk. He's got America Firsters up and down the ballot. He's got a unity ticket that looks like the Unified States of America. It looks like the way the country, his party and his ticket looks like America. Hers doesn't. Hers looks like some communist utopia that never existed. And her thing is, I'm going to give you an opportunity economy. Well, that doesn't give me lower grocery prices, which was Tim Walz's big fail in his soundbite there. Anyway, Kevin McCullough, we got a great show for you. Just ahead, Ashley Hayek, Christine Serrano Glassner, Coach Joe Kennedy is with us, and in the spotlight, we've got the number one song in the country, Megan Woods. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. Lots of sketch comedy as well. Stay with us.
From New York, it's That Kevin Show.
See, I knew it.
Come on, Kev. What's a few classified documents between friends?
I told you all the time. I knew it. I knew he had some too.
Here he is. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. It's That Kevin Show, and we're kind of happy to be in our new digs and thankful that you're back with us. We're hearing from more and more people every single week, so thanks for telling your friends. I am very, very thankful to have the America First Policy Institute as kind of one of my real arm-in-arm partners over the last year. We have looked at so many different specific issues that are affecting real-life Americans and asking the question, who is putting America first? If the people that are not in office don't put the citizens that elected them there first, who will? So it's kind of on you, if you're not getting that type of representation, to fire those people and hire new ones. That's what you do in a business. Here to discuss the final stretch as we have started in this less than a month to go race is Ashley Hayek, who is part of the AFPI. She's actually part of America First Jobs, which has a great story all on its own in terms of what's happening there. But Ashley, you've also been integral in the voter integrity push for this go around. And there's several people that came out of the Trump administration or the Trump support group in the last administration focusing on this. And I said in townhall.com 2 weeks ago that when you have states like North Carolina bouncing 750,000 voters off the rolls because they're dead, illegal, shouldn't be allowed to be voting, whatever, and they're on there, you're going to get cleaner elections. And if we just get a little bit cleaner of an election, if we get many more poll watchers and lots more of attorneys ready to challenge at the moment of infraction, I think we're going to have a big turnaround in terms of the performance of this race. But as you're coming down this stretch here, do you see those efforts working and paying off? And what's your anticipation for November?
Yeah, 100%. So on our 501c3 America First policy side, Ken Blackwell and Hogan Gidley have really led the charge to really make sure that our laws are just very straightforward, are enforced. There's no funny business, addressing the drop boxes, addressing, voter ID. And these are 80% issues. This is what the American people want. This is not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. And then how do you do the job of making sure that there are clean voter rolls in a nonpartisan way? There should not be illegal aliens voting in our election. We should not have dead people on the voter rolls. And to my
surprise, 2 weeks ago, there was a huge story. There were more than 1 million illegal migrants or people, whether they're migrants or just here from other reasons or whatever, but there's 1 million people that they had to take off rolls across multiple states that weren't supposed to be there.
And what was shocking to us at America First is when the Department of Justice, the Biden-Harris Department of Justice, went after, for example, the state of Alabama for removing people from the voter rolls that should not have been on there. I think that kind of shows you the tone that we're going to see from the Department of Justice. Not that they want a clean and fair election, but this administration is going to do everything possible. It started back in March of 2021 when Joe Biden signed the executive order to leverage every branch of government to mobilize, ballot harvest, register voters that are government dependent. So in their mind, I think would lean left. And then taking it a step forward or further with the Department of Justice having their election integrity task force. And then now, suing Alabama for trying to clean up their rolls. So this is really a states' rights issue. If you are involved in your state, you have to get involved. You need to be vigilant. You need to pay attention. I think because we have so many patriots who are focused on this now, it is going to be a lot better. And one example as to why this is so important, the RNC just did a great job in Nevada cleaning the voter rolls. Nevada is a universal mail-in ballot state. So everybody on the voter rolls, whether you ask for a ballot or not, is going to get one in the mail. Yep. And so if you're at an apartment complex, for example, you'll see ballots littered on the ground that are not opened because that person no longer lives there or whatever. And
in 2020, to prove how dangerous this is, they lowered the signature match standard to being, instead of being 80 to 90% legible compared to the signature that's on file, you could just put a black scribble on there and they would count it. That's been changed back to the standard that needs to be. And I think that alone, what I heard was, had that standard been enforced, there would have been more than 100,000 ballots disallowed in the 2020 election, which certainly probably would have swung the state.
Yep. And you also saw a similar situation in 2022 with the governor and lieutenant governor. And because of some of the fraudulent ballots that they found, they were able to secure a Republican in both the governor and the lieutenant governor. Regardless if it was a Democrat who got secured or a Republican, people should know that their vote counts. But this is why I'm telling you, Kevin, vote early if you can. Do not leave it all on one day. There's two reasons why. Number one, in Nevada in 2022, there was a freak storm. And in one of the Republican counties, Adam Laxalt, it underperformed and we lost with less than 1% of the vote. Do not rely on one day. The number two issue is in Arizona this year. That ballot is 2 pages long. So there are concerns that if there's a long line and there's a big rush, that they'll start putting the ballots through the machines and it could jam. So go early, make sure it gets through the machine, make sure your vote counts, track your ballot. You can track it online and just do what we need to do to bank our vote. One more point, Kevin, just really quickly. It costs money to contact voters who haven't voted yet. And we have limited resources. We're not flush with cash like the left. So if you can vote early, we can take you off the list and track other people that need to vote.
Yeah, no, I heard that explanation being given by a congressman on Hugh Hewitt's show this week, and I thought it was brilliant. And it's not just the money that it costs to contact you, but to win you. And if you've already voted, and we know that you've already voted, and we don't know how you voted, by the way, and that your vote is sacred. Nobody's going to know that. But if you've already voted and that can be taken, your name can be taken off the list, then reaching the next voter, your neighbor, the guy down the street, that's where those resources will best be applied. That makes a ton of sense. And if people want to know more in a generic sense about how to do this, Ashley, is there an AFPI resource, or do they need to go to their local voting precinct? How do they best inform themselves on this?
So if you're in one of the 9 battleground states, we have like Arizona firstvoterguide.com, Pennsylvania firstvoterguide.com. Otherwise, just go to your state's Secretary of State website, choose elections, and it will give you the information that you need, including voter registration and vote by mail and early vote deadlines. Yeah,
it's called banking your vote, friends, for that reason. Once the vote is cast, then they know that you've been taken care of, and we can increase turnout by helping focus attention, time, resources, energy, and even relationship to the people that maybe have been disinclined or thought maybe their vote wouldn't count. This is going to be a different outcome, Ashley, because we've got the integral work that you've been doing, that Rick Grinnell's been doing, that Ken, that Hogan, all of you guys, and you've all been on the show. We've all been talking about it. But I had this really horrible feeling in 2020 that if we didn't get this addressed and we didn't attack it with all of our might, that pro-America forces might never win another election ever, because if you don't have confidence that it's gonna turn out honestly, then people say, well, why should I even participate? And this year more than ever, it's more important for everyone to participate. And then it's important for those laws to kick in. If ballots are illegal, if they come in late, if they're not filled out properly, if they have the wrong name signed to them, they should not be counted. That's how we keep elections clean and fair. And that's what that's the hill we're gonna die on, at least at this microphone. We want clean and fair elections, and we don't want anything other than clean and fair. I don't want crooked elections in favor of my candidate. I want honest elections, and I want them to be clean and fair for all to see. Ashley Hayek is my guest. When we get back, Kamala's had a kind of a rough last couple of weeks.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. From New York, That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square, That Kevin Show. Kevin McCullough, thrilled to have you with us. And as always, the new music spotlight at the end of the hour. We will unveil this week's new song of the week and look forward to that. Ashley Hayek is my guest from the America First Policy Institute. And Ashley, off air, you and I know things about the way Republicans are approaching this election. And in some ways, we have been much more savvy and very different than we've ever been before. And I'm seeing that in the local campaigns that I'm doing some consulting work with, and you're telling me about it on the national scale. And that all encourages me. We've got to think out of the box, and we've got to help people understand that their votes count. Not helping the cause, Kamala Harris is going to flood zones, and instead of getting her Obama hugging Chris Christie moment on the beach after the hurricane, she's waving $750 coupons when then the day later, Cabinet Secretary Mayorkas comes out and says, we out of money. And there's a couple of questions I have about that, because Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, said that last week that the House approved $20 billion additional dollars for FEMA. So if the Secretary doesn't know that money's there, then that's a problem. If they've spent it and it's not there, that's a problem. But Kamala is coming off as disinterested, out of touch, and completely insensitive to the people that are suffering at this time. And what did Mr. Trump do? He went down and pulled out all the stops like he usually does, started a GoFundMe page, raised millions of dollars to help people, and he's going to keep doing that. But your take on Kamala's bad couple of weeks here?
Well, I think this goes back to, if you recall, East Palestine, Ohio, when there was the derailment that caused all of the toxins to go into that community, and the administration did literally nothing. The Biden-Harris administration did nothing. They didn't even show up in the community, and those people who are already historically underserved were just devastated. Then you look at the Maui wildfires, same situation. I think they got $750 or $800 checks dispersed to them when they had literally lost everything. And then now you look at North Carolina. Meanwhile, let's contrast that with what the illegal aliens who are coming into our country are getting. They're getting housing. They're getting, facilities set up with Xboxes and, all sorts of luxuries. They have food that, if you remember the story in New York where they threw out all the food because they didn't like it that was provided to them. Our kids are getting displaced from schools to accommodate all of the illegal children that had been brought into the system. I mean, healthcare, our veterans are underserved. There's homeless veterans on the street, but the illegal aliens get priority. The list goes on and on and on. And then top that off with the billions of dollars that we have sent overseas, the billions of dollars that was unfroze to Iran, for example, or to Ukraine. When is America first? It just doesn't happen in this administration, and it's a very, very bad look for Kamala Harris and the Biden administration.
$24 billion to Ukraine, $11 billion in the Middle East conflicts. The Iranian funds have been flowing for years now since Biden's been back. I was shocked to find out that we are still sending $1.2 billion to Afghanistan. Actually, I thought that Afghanistan didn't like us anymore. I thought that we had to get out of there so that, we could save face. Why are we sending them more than $1 billion a year? For what? What are we getting for that? And then to turn around and to tell these people whose homes washed down the mountainsides of Western North Carolina that there's nothing for them, that it's an empty pot. I mean, Donald Trump got made fun of when he went to Puerto Rico and threw out rolls of paper towels to people because they made fun of his throwing style. But you know what? He was there, and he was distributing paper towels and other things, needed necessities that people had. Where are, and he's a private citizen, by the way, in case people forget, did all of that out of his own pocket. You know, he shows up with big rigs and supplies, and, you know, Eric and Laura go down. Like the whole Trump family takes it very seriously when a national disaster happens and they get involved. Even after 9/11, he was on the rubble like the next day. So this is something that he's done for years. It's not a campaign thing. But our own government, which we're always told we have to keep voting for Democrats because they're the only ones that really care about us. I think the voters are waking up, Ashley, to say, who do they really care about? Because it doesn't look like they care about us at all.
I think it's all been exposed too. I mean, just a couple months ago, Secretary Mayorkas said that he had enough funding for hurricane relief. And now there's nothing. He said he has nothing. That's a huge problem. There's a reason why, you know, over 60% of the Teamsters voted against Kamala Harris and voted for Donald Trump in their internal poll for president. It's because this is an administration who will outsource those jobs to China.
Ashley Hayek, what a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Kevin McCullough coming back from Times Square. It's That Kevin Show.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. From New York, That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us. That Kevin Show. I want to say thank you to those of you that over the last number of weeks have been praying for the victims of Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. My friends at Samaritan Purse on the ground doing great work. And for those of you that have given gifts to that, it has meant a lot to know that we've been able to make a tangible difference in some of the immediate aftermath. And I want to go to the other cause that we have been championing all year, and that is these 208 women that are still in slavery in northern Sudan. To date, and I just want to give you an update, we have seen 145 of those women be liberated because of your generosity, because of the opportunity to go into the north with retrievers and find them and negotiate and get them out, and to be able to do so peacefully is a really remarkable thing. So thank you to those of you that have been a big part of that operation already. But I also want to say that 145 from 208 means that there are 63 women that we have not helped yet. And those 63 are it's going to bother me until we get them liberated. That means that every night that you and I go to bed peacefully in the beds that we are grateful to have, and especially for those of us that weren't in the path of the hurricanes, we have a lot to be thankful for. But these women don't. And even to some degree, their circumstances are more dire than some of the families and stuff that we've witnessed on our television set. I know that's hard to imagine, but if you are ritualistically abused, if you are repeatedly raped, if you are constantly dragged verbally, emotionally, physically, every single day, if you're constantly being beaten by someone who says that they own you, it's just an existence that I don't have any fathom of an idea as to how the women that we are helping to liberate out of North Sudan have actually survived this for the number of years that they've been in. And for many of them, because they were taken as young girls during the Sudanese Civil War, they've been in it for all of their consciously adult life. So they may have been in slavery for 15, 20, even 25 years for some of them on the older end. So imagine the joy that takes root in their heart when they hear that there's going to be a possibility of being liberated, and not just being liberated, but then getting to go back home, to go find family that in some cases still exist, to go back to regions where they knew other families and friends that were, dispersed at the time of the Civil War, but that have come back together. And imagine this: if you have gone through all of that horrible abuse, ritualistic rape, sexual assault, mutilating female genitals, doing things that are just dehumanizing, not even giving them, proper food and so forth on a daily basis, sometimes making them go several days in between proper meals. The level of frustration and anger and depression and sadness that your life is never going to be more than that has to be overwhelming. And that's why one of the reasons why I'm so glad that the Christian Solidarity International, the group that we were working with to get them out, has right on the border, when they cross over into South Sudan, this recovery camp where they're able to go and just rest and eat and think and feel and tell their story and be heard and be seen for the first time. We don't have any deficits of those areas of our lives as people in the West. Every one of us wake up, we go to the pantry, we pour ourselves a bowl of cereal of whatever we want or could afford that week. We live our life with so much freedom and independence and self-determination. And that's been something that these women have been robbed of since they were young girls. Even control over their own body, even control over their own faith. They're told that they have to abandon whatever Christian belief they have to become a good Muslim. That's why they mutilate their genitals, because they say you have to become a good Muslim, and a Muslim wife, in that culture, cannot have any pleasure from the sexual act. It's heinous. It's awful. And yet, as we are able to one by one retrieve those slaves and bring them home, the joy that is filling their heart overcomes that darkness, overcomes the depression. So you've heard me talk about it a lot throughout the year. We have 63 specific women. We know where they are. We know their names. We've already engaged conversation with how to get them out. We just need you to help provide what's called the bag of hope for when they get back to South Sudan. And here's what's in it: enough grain to feed them for a year. Sorghum is what they eat. Enough seed to plant another year's worth of sorghum to grow. So you're going to feed them for the coming year, you're going to feed them for the year following that, and they will harvest seed from that crop to grow more crops. So you got food taken care of, at least on a somewhat permanent basis. They're going to have tarps, tents, blankets, other things to help protect them from the weather. They are going to be given utilitarian kits to help garden, to help fish, to help clean with. They are going to be given a Bible in their language. Many of them, that will be the only book they will ever own, but they desperately want it. They will be given a number of things that they need, feminine products, helps in terms of clothes and other things. But then there's this really fun little part of this, and that is that they get a little she-goat that can bear them more goats. They can make milk and cheese and other food products, obviously, from the milk. But beyond that, they can start a little micro enterprise for themselves and sell the baby she-goats to other farmers and to other people that need it, and by that be able to support them and the children that they hope to have. In some instances, we're even being able to bring home some of the slave children that they've had while in captivity to be with them. So this is an amazing gift that you're giving them in the bag of hope. That's all in the bag of hope, $250 one-time gift. If you have to break it up over a couple of months to pay for it, that's fine as well. Here's where you go. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, or bringherhome.org. Bringherhome.org. Just jump on there online, give your gift, and then by tomorrow, they're going to be able to process that and be able to speak for one more woman being freed and get her lined up for the next liberation. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, or bringherhome.org.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
Somewhere somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps,
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him from his Votes
Of course that Kevin show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be that Donald show. We don't have that, so we have that Kevin show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. Still to come, another illustrious edition of Assignment Desk Weekend. Decision 24 analysis with Christine Serrano Glassner. He's anything but an average Joe, Coach Joe Kennedy. And she's back with a medley of favorites in the spotlight. Megan Wood. Now live from Times Square, where he's been eager to announce his first rally in Madison Square Garden. Here's the cover.
No, Dave. No, you got it wrong. Trump is announcing his first rally in Madison Square Garden. Let's get to the news.
I see.
For Assignment Desk Weekend, I'm Kevin McCullough. The campaign for Kamala Harris unveiled their very original, never before thought of, always brand new to the equation strategy called Call Out the Old Man from Retirement and Have Him Suit Up Again. So the ever-spry billionaire from Martha's Vineyard, pictured here scolding the brothers, his words, not ours, for not being as supportive of Kamala Harris and looking quite old doing it, was not particularly well received with African-American male voters upon hearing his words. In fact, longtime Democrat Vernon Jordan posted on X that white liberals had been dispatched to get Obama back on the campaign trail so that he could blaxplain why African Americans should be supporting Harris. And black comedian Eddie Griffin added, Harris is a puppet with zero experience and no respect on the world stage. Sounds like Obama's message got through. Former staffers at CBS are calling for an investigation into the interview that has been likened in favorable terms to a word salad dumpster fire with Kamala Harris. This past week, 60 Minutes correspondent Bill Whitaker asked hard-hitting questions of the sitting VP. Assignment Desk Weekend eagerly gave kudos to Whitaker for asking the all but absent questions she had yet to face in any other interview to date. Things like, why did you say you were against fracking and wanted to ban it? And now you say you don't. Stuff like that. The editors at CBS are now under fire for all-out changes made to the vice president's answers before it hit air. Here's one example.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Speaking of misspeaks, follow the bouncing ball on this one. The Harris campaign launched as it was trying to attempt to distance itself from the administration that the vice president is currently in. Now, that was distancing herself from Biden. The candidate by which ruined that effort this week when she went on The View and she said she would have done absolutely nothing different over the past 4 years. But now the campaign is attempting to distance itself from its own vice presidential candidate, as Tim Walz has been touting the eradication of the Electoral College and then doubling down on it when questioned by the press. At this point, Assignment Desk Weekend would like to point out that it appears the Harris campaign has only yet to try to distance itself from Kamala Harris, who, let's face it, is in way over her head. Anyway. Speaking of which, longtime Democratic kingmakers David Axelrod and James Carville are publicly trying to desperately send Harris the dire message that she's not doing well in the internal polling for the Democrats. Harris, pictured here having just swallowed a bite of cat from Springfield, Ohio, just to prove it's safe, could only respond with, "But I was born in a middle-class household." And finally, this week's bravest American on earth, Caitlin Sinclair from New York City.
I wore a MAGA hat in New York City just a month ago. There is absolutely no shot I could have done that just a few short years ago. And let me add for your viewers, I was getting praise. I was getting cheers for wearing that MAGA hat.
For Assignment Desk Weekend, I'm Kevin McCullough.
To phone surveillance, Agent Dinger.
I'm honored to be here.
What department were you in before?
VHS, copyright enforcement. Took us 30 years, but we finally locked up every single person that illegally copied Homeward Bound.
That's good work.
So, how does this surveillance system work?
You are looking at the United States Phone Monitoring System, or PMS for short. It was developed by Verizon in the Obama administration to track down any journalists that made fun of his tan suit.
Makes sense.
With this baby, you can listen to any phone conversation in the entire United States.
Well, if we can listen to any phone conversation, why are we in this van?
Because I like it. Why don't you give it a try? This knob right here.
You're still at work? You said you'd be home by 3.
The doctor says it's just a rash, but it burns
When doesn't it?
Hi, we've been trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Hello, this, China. You need more ingredient to my fentanyl. Si, senor. We're going to put the fentanyl in piñata.
Most conversations are like these. They're completely innocuous. But every now and then, we come across a real problem. All right, let me try.
Listen, see, we're gonna rob the Chicago Federal Bank, see? Muggsy's got the dynamite.
No.
The day of jihad is at hand. Soon the streets will run red with the blood of the innocent.
No.
Hi, Sheila. It's Marcy. Are you going to the PTA meeting tonight?
Absolutely. I can't believe they put critical race theory in an algebra book. What are they teaching our kids?
Bingo. Sounds like a couple ultra-MAGA domestic terrorists to me.
Yesterday, Alex said her teacher made the white kids in class apologize for their privilege.
These two are bad. We gotta find something a little more incriminating. I'm gonna try to bait them.
We need to let the school board know that our kids are there to learn, not be indoctrinated.
Yeah! We gotta stop these kids from learning about Rosa Parks and slavery!
What? No, I don't want them to stop learning that stuff. I want woke teachers to stop pushing their own agenda.
I know, me too. I didn't say that.
Yes, I did! We gotta ban Martin Luther King Jr. because we're racist!
Who said that? Is there someone else on the line?
It's Sheila. I said that!
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did! I did! I'm Sheila, and I'm a racist! I have to go now. I gotta go buy panties in the bra store. Goodbye!
Yes, got him.
That's the job, baby!
Oh.
We'll trace
the number. I'm gonna send some guys down to their PTA meeting. We'll shut it down. Yeah. All right, now you try to find one. Okay. All right.
Hi, this is Hunter Biden. I'd like some Coke and a call girl sent to room 328. And no yellows this time.
No.
Hi, Bill. It's Jeff Epstein.
Jeff? I thought you were dead.
Yeah, right. I killed myself. Come on, Gates. You're smarter than that.
Next.
Yeah, that Las Vegas shooter guy, he lived right next to me. And I never told anyone this, but I think he's
boring.
So, the pro-life rally is Saturday. We have 10 kids coming from Students for Life. How many from your church?
Wait. I think we got something.
5 of us will bring brochures about our adoption program.
Great. We want these girls to know that there are other options available, and we're here to help them.
Sick monsters. Makes you want to puke.
How do we put an end to this dangerous situation?
Well, we have a few options. We could send in the IRS. Or we can make them disappear.
Send the IRS.
So we'll meet at noon then?
Sounds good. What's the address? Hold on. Someone's at my door.
Get on the ground! IRS!
What? Why do you send me to the IRS?
Good job. I think you're gonna fit in real well. Now we gotta listen to Trump's calls the rest of the day. The DA has nothing on him. We gotta find something incriminating soon.
Of course.
Yeah, I'd like a dozen wings and 2 large thin crust pizzas, please.
Yeah, it's just a guy ordering pizza.
Oh, and can I get anchovies and pineapple on the same pizza?
Arrest!
Ready or not, we'll be right back. That Kevin. Now, back to That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. It's That Kevin Show from Times Square. Kevin McCullough, always glad to have you with us. And we're approaching the 30-day mark on the election and what's happening. And I'm telling you, the stakes can't be higher. You want to see a difference in worldview, just look at the response to Hurricane Helene. Almost within a day of it sweeping through, Donald Trump was there, bringing truckloads of help as much as he could. And by the way, he used to do this as a private citizen. It's not something he just does when he's running for office. But besides showing up to announce her $750 coupon for everybody, Kamala Harris hasn't been there at all. And Joe Biden's taking his time getting down there. Anyway, Christine Serrano Glassner is the former candidate for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate in New Jersey, and she's a current mayor in New Jersey. So she's got a lot of experience with this type of thing. And Christine, let's dip into that for just a second. When you're talking about an immediate need, an emergency in which government action or inaction can literally cost lives. As a mayor, you've seen, major problems, and you've had to respond quickly. How important is it for the feds to be responsive when a local mayor or county commissioner or governor is begging for help?
Kevin, and first of all, I want to remind you, I'm also the Trump surrogate for New Jersey.
That's right.
So I cover a lot of turf. As a mayor of a municipality, I can tell you that the umbrella for us is the state and the federal government. And for a big emergency that just happened, Hurricane Helene, the umbrella for those small towns is FEMA. And we know what happened there because you already mentioned this. FEMA's accounts were drained by the Harris administration for, all of their illegal alien programs. And so now there's nothing left for the tax-paying citizens of this country when they are in dire need. But you also mentioned what Donald Trump has been doing. We started a GoFundMe account, and just in a couple of days, they've been able to raise $5 million. I mean, that is a drop in the bucket compared to what these folks are going to need. But at least it's something, and somebody is doing more than Kamala Harris is doing right now with her $750, as you said, coupon. Well, that's just nothing. I mean, that's two trips to the grocery store for a lot of people.
Yeah. And how do they even spend it? What I'm hearing from sources in Washington is that the administration is slow walking all of the help, particularly to the rural areas. And there's speculation that this is being done because these are primarily Republican areas. And if they are focused on the emergency, maybe they won't vote. That's the speculation. I don't have any evidence of any of this, but it would make sense to me given how kind of underhanded the other side is played from time to time. But if you're talking about $750, that doesn't keep your lights on. It doesn't keep your water going. They need help. They need, Army Corps of Engineers down there reestablishing water lines and getting electricity going and making sure that food companies are donating massive amounts of emergency meals. I was reading a story just yesterday that said there are whole towns whole towns in Western North Carolina that have gone up to 6 days without having any food to eat. Christine, that doesn't sound like America. That sounds like the third world or something.
Well, I know if you go to any city in this country right now where they have shipped tons of illegal aliens that they've let in across the border, they have meals to eat. They have places to stay. And these are folks that haven't even been here that long. And now you're talking about Native American-born U.S. citizens that have paid their taxes.
Yeah.
And this administration, the Kamala Harris administration, is doing little to nothing for them. So I don't know anything about the potential rumors, but we all know it just wouldn't be that surprising if they were to inject politics into all of this because of their desperation. And this is just another example of what they have done to the people in this country. They put power over blood. They've done it consistently, and they're doing it now. I mean, how do these poor people even mourn the folks that they've lost when they have nothing to eat, when there is no electricity? But I can tell you, Donald Trump, he's been in there with his team. I was just listening before. Laura Trump herself has been down there helping. It makes me want to jump in my car and get down there and, bring a truck full of water.
The whole Trump family rolled up its sleeves. Eric Trump posted about it last night. But that's what they've done. Like, I want people to understand this isn't just happening because it's an election and, someone's trying to get a good photo op. When Puerto Rico had its challenges, Donald Trump showed up. He got made fun of for how he threw the paper towels off the truck to the people that were needing them, but he did it. He's shown up in the day after 9/11, he was on the rubble, asking what he could do and seeing what he could send to help people. So long before he was ever in public policy or trying to run for office, this was just something that Donald Trump did because he wants to help his fellow Americans. And that brings me to my next question, Christine. And let's look at the race in your state specifically. You're the surrogate for the Trump campaign for the state of New Jersey, and you ran in the Republican primary. And you're familiar. You've been out on the campaign trail talking to voters for months about what they are dealing with. There are two stories out today, one about Detroit, one about Philadelphia, that are using language that Trump is not just doing better than expected in those two deeply Democratic cities, but that he has a real potential to win those cities. If he takes Detroit, Michigan, if he takes Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the rest of we already know the rest of the states mostly going to vote for him. Those are going to be massive landslides in swing states. New Jersey was already, as best as I could tell, it was already kind of trending pro-Trump in the primary, and I know that there was a big effort to make sure that ballot access is going to be available, but that the ballot process is going to be more integral. And I know that there's more poll watchers than there's been. How are you assessing what the presidential race looks like in New Jersey right now?
No, I think as anybody does, because, here in New Jersey, we don't have our own media market. And so we don't get that kind of coverage that would tell us exactly how we're doing. But I can tell you from the folks that I speak to, and I am out all over the place, people are energized. And the one word that I use with everybody is action. Take action. And so people are making phone calls. They are sending texts. There's all sorts of programs. And now I'm helping people to connect with Pennsylvania and the representatives there for the Trump campaign because they want to go there and be boots on the ground and help win Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
we would love to win New Jersey.
Is so close to Philadelphia. Any extra help that South Jersey could give them, I'm sure, would be welcomed. So if people want to, from a pragmatic way, reach out to you and say, hey, how can I help? Or I want to make sure that my block gets canvassed. I want to make sure I get people out to the polls. Where are you pointing them to in terms of online to go and get involved?
So number one, they need to go to Trump Force 47. Just Google that. And they can sign up there to start making phone calls. They can sign up to volunteer. If somebody really is not able to get anybody, email me, Christine@Christine4NJ.com. I don't care how many emails I get, but I will help you make sure that you can take action.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
I'm so glad to have you with us. Christine Serrano Glassner joins me, and as a former candidate for U.S. Senate in her state of New Jersey, she literally walked, I think, every inch of this state, at least as best she could, during the primary season, and from the bottom of the state down in Cape May all the way up to Bergen County and the border with New York. There seems to be, at least in people that I speak with, an energized presence to get the vote out and to see what's going to happen. Now, Christine, obviously, if President Trump gets elected, that's great. If he has long coattails that can bring people with him, that's even better. And I know there's a couple of congressional districts in your state that have a chance to break through. I think both District 9 and District 5 with Billy Prempa and Mary Jo Ginchard have very good shots at taking seats that had been held by Democrats. Billy's running against kind of the ghost of a candidate who passed away, God rest his soul, in the middle of the campaign. And Mary Jo is facing the ever dislikable Josh Gottheimer, who I think is already interested in running for governor. Do you think that President Trump is going to bring people along with him if they take the action that you were talking about in the last segment?
Oh, absolutely. Let's just keep our minds focused on winning this race. Kevin, that's the most important thing. But, looking down the road, assuming that we've won this race, it's going to take a whole army of people who really want to get in there and help make a difference and help return, prosperity to this country and help people get jobs again. Because this administration, the Kamala Harris administration and Waltz, they're not doing it and they're not going to do it. She could be taking action right now. And she's not. She's strictly focused on the politics of it all. Everything she does right now is political.
$750 if you lost your house and everything that you own. She's offering you $750. I mean, come on.
Right. I mean, it's actually an insult.
It is. And
right?
I'm not laughing at people's plight. I'm laughing at how absolutely ridiculous that is. And the mismanagement has moved to everything. We've touched on the border, but when it comes to our kids in our schools, when it comes to crime in our major cities, there's not a single part of American life that has not been made, by my estimation, several degrees worse than it was 4 years ago. No?
Oh, 100%. The new job numbers just came out, Kevin, and it's disappointing and shocking. But, I think the numbers are over 800,000 U.S. native-born Americans lost their jobs this past year. And yet foreign-born folks, 1.2 million of them gained jobs. So what do you think is happening, right? And this is her administration that has been promoting this. I think that there was a loss of over 500,000 jobs in the private sector market, but over a gain, this is just in the past year, of well over almost 700,000 jobs in government. This is how they're making up for it.
Yeah.
And it's,
they say that that's job creation, when in reality, it's just taxpayer wealth distribution. It's taxing the taxpayers to employ more people to probably do things that we don't even probably want them to do. Remember, those 87,000 IRS agents were all going to be on the taxpayer dole. Like, we were going to be paying for them to come in and harass us. Literally, we were paying for it. Like, it's a remarkable thing.
That's right. And their focus is to harass small business owners and the middle class. That's really their goal.
I want to talk a little bit, and I've tried to talk almost every day about this for the duration of the campaign, about the female vote in particular, because we hear a lot from Kamala Harris, and there's never been a more bloodthirsty pro-abortion candidate that I've seen in my lifetime. Like, she wants abortions legal in months 7, 8, 9, and beyond. So post-birth. Tim Walz lied in the debate last week when he said that he didn't sign a law that made that exact possibility the legal, but he in fact did, and the fact checkers had to correct him on that. But it seems to me that issue, the abortion and access to abortion issue, is not nearly as big of a deal to suburban women who are facing crime. Maybe their jobs are being threatened because of the migrant influx. Certainly having boys in their daughter's locker room at school is something that they've never thought that they would be dealing with, and they are under this administration. She's only doubled down and tripled down on that. And when the Trump team released that commercial last weekend during the college football schedule, where she actually said she wanted taxpayers to pay for gender reassignment surgeries for illegal migrants and for criminal prisoners. Christine, I had to pinch myself and say, is this even in America where this is happening? It doesn't sound like the kind of thing that I ever remember growing up hearing, in my childhood.
Well, Kevin, that's why she's handing out only $750 checks to emergency, victims of this story.
That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. It's Kevin McCullough. It's That Kevin Show from Times Square, and we're grateful to have you with us. And I'm grateful to have Coach Joe Kennedy joining us. You may remember his case just a few years ago. You heard about a coach in the, I think it was the upper Northwest, going to the middle of the field and praying after games. And it didn't seem that odd because you see that on the NFL field. There's lots of players that come together and from both teams usually and take a knee and pray, not taking a knee, protesting the national anthem or anything like that, but bowing before God and offering a prayer of thanks for the protections of non-injuries, et cetera, for how the game was played, et cetera. This is not an uncommon thing. And yet when Coach Joe Kennedy was doing it, he was even left unmolested by it for a while. And then something happened, and here he is to discuss. Coach, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Where did it start to become an issue? Because you did practice this for a long time, and then all of a sudden one day something was different. A switch got flipped somewhere.
Yeah. So what we did is we were doing this for 8 years. We were in our 8th season, and another administrator saw us coming together after a really tough game, but saw both sides come together in this moment of prayer. And he thought it was so awesome. He called our principal. Now, the principal, being, the guy he is, of course, starts an investigation, which led down the road to the lawyers who are adverse to any kind of risk whatsoever. And things went really sideways from there.
So your administrator that was a fan thought it was a cool statement of unity, accidentally ratted you out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the lawyers were all too eager to take it from there. What was the community's response like? Was there objections? Were there atheists? Were there people that were viscerally offended that some people got together in the middle of the football field to thank God for a safe game?
Well, I would say probably 95% of the people were behind me. It was pro Kennedy, everything, pro prayer. It was amazing to see the support that we had. But of course, we have that 1 or 2% that the local atheist group, even the local Satanist group showed up in their goat horns and full black robes to protest. So you always have that real small percentage of people. But overall, it was incredible to see how the community came together.
So was there anything stopping the atheist or the Satanists from going to either ends of the football field and having their prayer or demonstration of what they believe in any way?
Not that I know of. No, it's a free country.
So you weren't being given preferential treatment. You were just exercising your First Amendment rights to free speech and First Amendment rights to practice your faith.
Yep. Simple as that.
Okay. So the principal gets involved and the lawyers get involved and it starts to ratchet up. When did you begin to sense that this was going to become a much bigger deal than what it had been those 8 years previous?
Yeah, well, the news got a hold of it, of course, and then it kind of went viral overnight. So it got out of control that way. But I got out of my control when the school district's lawyers, they gave me a do not contact order to the school district. I couldn't even talk to my own bosses, my employer. And I knew I needed help from that moment on. And that's when First Liberty Institute came in and really just took the bull by the horns, and we just started the fight.
Yeah. Now, you're not unaccustomed to having to fight for what you believe in. Tell us a little bit about who Joe Kennedy was before he was a football coach.
Well, I was a Marine. I retired out of the Marine Corps. So I got to do, the stint in the desert like just about every other Marine. And before that, I was in and out of group homes, foster homes, boys' homes for fighting, and kicked out of every school I've ever been to.
Well, the interesting thing about all of this is that mental toughness and that kind of endurance through adversity, which I'm sure the Marine Corps, I mean, we're a very big pro-military family in the McCullough household. In fact, we just got my brother-in-law back from his third deployment as a naval aviator. He just landed yesterday, literally after having his tour extended 3 times. And his kids were so happy to see him when he touched down on that tarmac. But this is the question I have for you. Were there moments in the legal fight where you did ask the question, Lord, am I going to make it? Is this going to even work out? How did it affect your marriage? How did it affect your ability to be a member of the community? Because it wasn't a big city that you were part of. I mean, this is small town USA.
Right. It was the toughest thing, and I had to talk with God just about every day about am I doing what's right? And I was weak in the flesh. I wanted to quit. The only thing I wanted was to coach football. I didn't want a big fight like this. It was just absolutely crazy. But that red-blooded American in me I couldn't let it go, where somebody had to choose between their faith and their job. That just rubbed me the wrong way, and I knew it was the right thing to do, and I could set the perfect example for all my players of what it looks like to lead.
Well, this is the movie that's coming out this weekend, friends. It's called Average Joe, and it's all about Coach Joe Kennedy's fight that ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court. If you've listened to my show, you know that he won. So this is all working out well. But Coach, what's it like? Are you back on the field? I think I heard that you are coaching again. And what's it been like in the aftermath of this life-changing event?
Yeah, I did go back to the school. They made it not fun. They took all the joy out of coaching. And my wife and I decided that it'd be better to walk away and let the school heal and the program heal. And we get to keep our heads up held high. And we're taking care of our father down in Pensacola, Florida now. So I have no regrets. And I'm just going around wherever God calls me, and also standing up for the First Amendment and speaking on it any chance I get.
Well, that's why your story is so important, because within a blink of an eye, unelected educational bureaucrats, lawyers for a school district tried to stifle your right to express what you believe in terms of speech, and your right to practice your faith as God had convicted you of it. And I want everybody to go see the movie Average Joe. It's out this weekend. Shoot it up to #1 so that it can stay in theaters even longer.
Ready or not, we'll be right back.